Hello and welcome to Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings show in all of the land. I am your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, we are going to be breaking down all 13 fights from UFC Vegas 272 from a DraftKings perspective. That card is coming up this Saturday, March 5th. And yeah, like I said, we have 13 fights. Real quick before we get into it, I want to shout out Team Rise or Fall. Be sure to join up. If you play DFS of any kind, any sport, be sure to check out teamriseorfall.com. We have tons of experts over there. They're winning nightly over there. Our members are winning nightly and posting the receipts in the Discord, so be sure to come check that out. Use code MONK, save 10%. Also, be on the lookout for MMA Engine. The MMA Engine is coming up. In about 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks, we are launching. It is a conglomerate, a co-op, if you will, of 4 people. Myself, Mr. Lou Betya, Mr. DFS by the numbers, and Mr. Uncle Wheezy. That's right, Mr. Uncle Wheezy. We are going to bring you guys something that hopefully you've never seen before. So be on the lookout for that. Follow me on Twitter at Monkmatics, and please be sure to like and subscribe to this video and to this channel, guys. It would really mean a lot. So now that all the business is out of the way, let's get right into it. First fight of the night, Dustin Jacoby going against Michael Oleksiejczuk. This one is going to be light heavyweight fight. Whoops, and I should probably scroll up to the top here. The first fight of the night, 8,600 going against 7,600 salary. Excuse me, both of these guys have made the optimal lineup since January 1st of 2021. How do they score? Dustin Jacoby, 2.58 points per minute. Sorry, I forgot where my camera was. I just moved everything around. 2.58 points per minute, so not a very good pace. 18th out of, 24 ranked fighters. Only 2 fighters are not ranked on my in my DraftKings sheet this week, so that is fantastic. Gives up 3.38 points a minute, 22nd highest on the entire card. Not very good. Only scores 92 points when he wins, but allows only 69.87 when he loses, and that's over 2 losses. So #1 on the card there. Jacoby not allowing too many points when he loses. Average salary of 8,520. He is coming in just a tad over that at 8,600. Not a great average value. 17th highest on the card. A pretty low ceiling and a low floor. Michael on the other side, 3.58 points per minute, a very good pace, 7th highest, outscoring his opponents by 0.82 points per minute. He is $700 cheaper than his average salary, coming in at 7,600. He does score 106 points per win, and that is over 5 wins, so a pretty good sample size there. Does give up a lot when he loses, though, 110, almost 111. Sorry, excuse me, I have a very itchy mustache hair situation happening. Very high ceiling for Oleksiejczuk. Other than that, a very low floor. Pretty decent value, outscoring his opponents, like I said. Both guys scored decently well. Top 10, top 5 almost, when they win by knockout or TKO. Jacoby only 73 in a decision win. He only gave up 62 when he got subbed, you guys. That is the best average on the card when you lose by submission, only giving up 62 points. Whereas Michael on the other side gave up 110 when he did lose. How does that work? He has 2 losses. Gave up, oh, that's average. He got subbed twice in the UFC. Dirt. Dustin Jacoby, half of his 4 wins, he has scored over 100 points, and in one of those 4 wins, he scored over 110. Never has yet, I should say, to give up 90 points when he loses. Michael on the other side gives up, scores over 103 out of 4 wins, over 110 in 2 out of 4, but gives up a ton of points, over 110 in one of his 2 losses. So something to think about there. Not very many wrestling or takedown or control time points from Dustin Jacoby here. Much more striking and a few knockdown points as well. But he's getting knocked down as much as he is doing the knocking down. That makes sense. And then, the takedown points against, almost a point per minute via takedowns. That's way too many. But on the other side, Michael allowing even more takedown points per minute. Outscoring his opponents. They actually score the exact same when it comes to striking points per minute, and Michael with the much higher power index, so many more knockdowns per minute there. So I do not expect a grappling match in this one. And as you can see, Jacoby, when he wins on average 60 bonus points, when Michael wins on average over 4 fights, 81 points. When he loses, 80 points going back as far as bonus points are concerned. Ignore these, or not ignore them, but these overall ranks should not be taken as gospel. I say this every week. It's just more for me to glance at while I'm rambling about fights. For instance, I probably, Michael is probably not the best striker on the entire card, but that just means that he's up there as far as stats go. Probably mostly because of his knockdown stats, which I don't have on this sheet. I should put him on there, but I know he's got several. 11 wins by knockout, TKO out of 16. That is fantastic. Let's see here. I need to get more centered. I'm still getting used to this new camera setup here. I just got a new monitor, so I switched everything around. I'm no longer looking up at the TV as well as my second monitor, so much better. Strength of schedule, they actually have the exact same opponent win percentage over the last 5. Other than that, I kind of got to give it to Michael. He has a better strength of victory. Actually, no, I'm going to give it to Jacoby. He has no defeats in his past 5, and his actual strength of schedule is just 0.2 points higher than Oleksiejczuk. Jacoby, I should say, beating John Alon, Darren Stewart, Maxim Grishin, and Justin Ledet in his last 5 with a draw against Kutalaba. Michael looking very good against Shamil Gamzatov in his last fight. I definitely called the first round knockout on that one. Losses to Jimmy Crute and Oven St. Preux do not look good on your resume, though. Raw DraftKings points per minute. Let's see here. Decent chart for Jacoby, although his opponents are outscoring him. I don't know what I'm talking about, so it's not a decent chart. Opponents outscoring him, and he is trending down while his opponents trend up. In fact, it's the exact opposite chart you'd like to see. Pretty even here with Michael and his opponents. He is trending way down while his opponents trend up as well. So not great for either fighter. Here are my projections. Whatever you think is going to happen, here's how I think it will score. And then DraftKings visual recap and aggregate career win percentages. Oleksiejczuk with the much better graph right here, pushing out as far or much farther than Jacoby as far as win percentage, or finish win percentage, DraftKings points per win, and bonus points per win. You love to see that. In fact, the only stat that Jacoby is beating Michael in is the distance strike points per win, and it's pretty close. And then how do you, this kind of tells me how it tells Computer Monk rather, whether the fight's going to be a finish or a decision. I mean, both these guys' finish rates inside and outside the UFC are very high, and especially in losses, 75% in the UFC, 77, almost 78 over their careers. So I bet you Computer Monk thinks this one will finish inside the distance, and be sure to stick around to the end of the video where I will show you all of Computer Monk's picks. And whether he thinks they will finish inside the distance or not. Next fight of the night, we'll try to go a little quicker here. Devontae Smith going up against Ludovic Klein. I forget who Smith was supposed to fight, but that fight is now off, and Ludovic Klein is stepping in on short notice. I believe this is a lightweight fight. Smith, 8,500, and actually these salaries are not out for this yet. I am projecting that this salary specifically will be 8,500 for Smith and 77 for Klein. Like I said, they have not been released yet, but based on odds, I think that is where they're going to be. So Devontae Smith puts on a decent pace, 3.07 points per minute, outscoring his opponents by 0.27 points a minute. When he does win in his 3 wins, 111.5 points, 5th highest on the entire card. When he does lose, however, in his 2 losses, he gives up 108.74. So tons of points flying around King Cage's fights here. Let's see. Average salary $91.25. So he's coming in $600 and change under his average salary. Average value not too great. Has a pretty high floor and a pretty high ceiling, I should say, and a very low floor. Ludovic Klein coming off, I believe, 2 losses. Michael Trezano and Nate Landwehr. Getting outscored per minute, just barely, but still getting outscored, and nothing to write home about as far as volume. Does put up 103 points in his 1 UFC win, and only gave up 75.5 on average over his 2 losses. That is the second best number on the entire card. So like we said with Smith, tons of points flying around here. Not a lot of points flying around Ludovic Klein fights unless he gets a head kick knockout. That pretty much seems to be his recipe. If you do like Klein this week, he is almost 1,200. Actually, he's more $1,267 under his average salary. So that is a steal here. You are paying way down for him if you like Klein. Let's see. Klein, his opponents only scored 59 when they lost, or when he lost a decision. Let's see. Devontae Smith, in 2 of his 3 wins, he has scored over 100. In 1 of those, he put up 110. Klein has scored over 100 just once in his 1 UFC win. Let's see. Smith not getting outpointed as far as takedowns and control time, which is the first thing I look at here. Same with Klein, outpointing his opponents in takedowns and control time as well. Same with knockdown, but he is getting outstruck at almost an entire point per minute, whereas Devontae Smith is outstriking his opponents. But the chin on Smith is not great. He has a very poor chin index. In fact, the second highest power index on the card at 1.82, but the lowest ranked chin index out of all ranked fighters, which is 24 out of 26 this week. And I don't mean UFC rankings, I mean my personal rankings on the card. He is 24th, so that is dead last. You want this number to be low. It is the highest number on the card. Suspect chin for Devontae Smith. Strength of schedule is going to go to Ludovic Klein, but it is pretty close, I suppose, until you get to the strength of defeat here. But both of them, you want them to be about 70 to 75. Both of these guys are under that, so not a very good strength of schedule here. Last 5 fights, Smith is 3-2. Klein is 1-2. In the UFC. Yeah, sorry, I misread this. My own sheet. I know. Ludovic Klein 1-2 in the UFC. He did get his 1 win over Shane Young, first round knockout. Smith coming off a loss to Jamie Mullarkey, a win over Janes, loss to Worthy, and a win over Ma and Erosa. Looked pretty good there. Put up a decent ass whoop index in his wins, but he's getting his ass whooped in his losses. So it's pretty much all or nothing for Devontae Smith. I'm sure Computer Monk likes this to finish inside the distance. DraftKings points Devontae Smith outscoring his opponents just barely, but he is trending down while his opponents trend up. Don't like to see that. Klein on the other side, just barely getting outscored. He is trending up, same as his opponents are. Projections, here's how I think they will score. And then Smith pretty much has the entire graph. Everywhere Ludovic Klein sticking out, Smith is right there with him or just a little bit better. I mean, much more real estate overall for Smith here in the points and whatnot per win. And then percent of finishes in wins. I mean, look at this in their career. 96% of their wins have come by way of finish. 100% in the UFC, all 4 of their wins. And then a very high finish rate in losses as well. So I know Computer Monk wants this to, or likes this to finish inside the distance. Next fight, Tagir Ulanbekov, flyweight fight. 9,000 for Tagir. I really love this salary set this week. 9,000 and 7,200. I especially like the Tagir side. But when Tim Elliott wins, he scores well. 4.26 points per minute on average. That is the 3rd highest pace on the entire card. Gives up only 2.41 for a 1.85 differential. 3rd highest differential on the card. That is fantastic. When Tim Elliott wins, and this is over 6 wins, 119.77, but he does have 10 losses in the UFC, 89.67 points per loss. That's actually a pretty good number defensively. Most of the time on average, though, 89 points is not making the optimal lineup, so he's not giving up a ton of points. You are getting Tim Elliott at a deal, almost $700 cheaper, about $650 cheaper than his average salary, or no, $760. What's wrong with me? Cheaper than his average salary. He gets an okay value of 8.34. Tagir on the other side, 3.92 points per minute over his 2 UFC fights. Both have gone to decision. Has almost as high of a differential as Tim Elliott at 1.73. Only scores 88 points when he wins, though, so not a ton of points on the Ulanbekov side. Let's see, very low ceiling, but a decent floor. Might be really good for cash here, Tagir. Let's see. Only 1 of his fights, Tagir, he scored over 90. In Tim Elliott's fights, 4 of 6, he scored over 100, and 3 of 6, he scored over 110. His opponents have scored over 100 3 times on him, and twice they've scored over 110. He gives up a decent amount of points, Tim Elliott, by way of grappling, takedown, and control time points, but he's outscoring his opponents there by far. I mean, he scores 1.26 takedown points per minute. That is the 2nd best rate in that category on the entire card. Over half a control time point per minute, 5th highest. He's still outstriking people with the 7th highest number on the card, 2.20 striking points per minute, and only allowing 1.31. Doesn't have much power though, but he's not out here getting knocked down either. On the other side, Tagir getting outstruck per minute, but his takedowns and control time is even higher than Tim Elliott's, and that control time is almost double. So we'll have to see. I mean, Tim Elliott actually Tagir allows takedown points as well. So it's going to be first to play, we're playing first to get the takedown game, I should say. And we're going to see if people can reverse. I mean, they both score very well reversal points per minute. Tim Elliott has the highest number on the card there, and Tagir right behind him, a 100th of a point behind him. So that is fairly interesting. Neither guy really gets finished a lot of decision bonus points here as far as that goes. Strength of schedule is going to go to Tagir, just barely, except when it comes to strength of victory. Tim Elliott, I mean, with his only out of his last 5 fights, his only 2 wins have come against Jordan Espinoza and Ryan Benoit. So not a good look there. Tagir beating Alan Nascimento and the flyweight Bruno Silva. I know it says fly here, but there are 2 Bruno Silvas, and one of them is middleweight. So that's where you get that. Tagir looking fantastic. I mean, shutting his opponents down, almost doubling their score and trending way up, while Tim Elliott is also way above his opponents, and I mean trending down, but just barely. Opponents also trending down, and after this one, that Askar Askarov fight is going to come off of this last 5, so his graph is going to look even better. Here are my projections. Tim Elliott with the much higher projection because of the pace he puts out, but honestly, I like Tagir in this fight, and so does Computer Monk. These graphs are very interesting. Neither one, like I said, getting very many finishes. In fact, Tagir has not completed a fight with a finish win yet in the UFC. So there's a big chunk of this graph missing from both guys' data sets here. But as far as DraftKings points per win, like I said, it's Elliott with almost 120. Other than that, Elliott's got the angle everywhere else. I mean, he's outpointing Tagir everywhere else. That said, I'm pretty sure Computer Monk likes Tagir here to win by decision, but we will see. I just don't remember. In my old age. 4th fight, Umar Nurmagomedov going against Brian Boom Kelleher. This one is at bantamweight. Nurmagomedov, the most expensive fighter on the entire card, 9,600, has only fought once since January 1st of 2021, but he did make the optimal lineup. That was about a year ago, actually over a year ago. Check out this pace he put on whoever the heck he fought. I could check. Sergey Morozov, so no slouch. 4.82 points per minute Umar scored. Only allowed 0.37 points a minute. I mean, the 4.82 would definitely be in the top 5, probably the top 3 this week if he had a ranking. In order to be ranked on the card, you have to have at least 3 UFC fights, and Umar only has 1, so no ranking for him. But these numbers would be number 1 on the entire card. You're paying up for him, surprisingly, by $100. Last time he came in at 95. He did get a fantastic average value, scored almost 112 points. I mean, come on. Fantastic. Bantamweight weight class probability. The winner makes the optimal 52% of the time. The winner of the 4th fight makes the optimal 61% of the time, and the winner of the $9,600 salary wins their fight 71% of the time. So some pretty good stuff there. But I mean, if you're paying 96, you're going to be at the bottom of the barrel for a lot of your lineups. I tend to avoid the 9,600. I'll play like maybe 10, 15%, maybe. Probably closer to 5 or 10%. It's too expensive. Kelleher scoring, outpacing his opponents actually by 0.33 points per minute. Scoring 104.63 in his wins, and that's over 8 wins, allowing 95, almost 96 points average over 5 losses. So quite a bit of points flying around Brian Kelleher fights. You do get him for $1,250, almost less than his average salary. Average value is decent at just over 9. So it's not too bad there, Brian Kelleher. I mean, but he is fighting a guy named Nurmagomedov. I mean, last time you might have faded Said Nurmagomedov, that was a mistake. I know there's no relation there, but still, I'm not into fading Nurmagomedovs quite yet. Let's see, 5 of 8 wins. Kelleher has scored over 100. 3 of 8, he scored over 110. So like I said, a bunch of points flying around. I mean, Umar put up 2.89 takedown points per minute on average in his one UFC fight. It did only last 8.65 minutes, but still. Where was I? Not that far down. Tons of control point. I mean, 0.61 control time points per minute. Look over here. Kelleher has 0.5, and that's 7th best on the card. So you got to think that's probably top 5. Not a ton as far as striking points, but I mean, allowing pretty much 0 everywhere. Just incredible. Kelleher does allow a decent amount of takedown points and control time points as well. It could be worse, and he's also getting outstruck on average. So I mean, we'll have to see how Nurmagomedov's striking defense goes up against Kelleher's power. A few graphs, relevant fight stats. I mean, in his first fight, Nurmagomedov 76% striking defense, so that's pretty damn good as far as striking defense goes. Kelleher 41% accuracy. I mean, 8.67 takedowns per 15 minutes for Nurmagomedov. And how many does Kelleher allow per 15? 1.37. So not 0, but not a ton. Strength of schedule is pretty close, but it is going to go to Brian Kelleher. But the strength of defeats is perfect for Nurmagomedov, as he is undefeated professionally at 13-0. I mean, these differential numbers are absolutely insane for Nurmagomedov. They're not terrible for Kelleher, although he is getting outstruck, like we said. Nurmagomedov completely rolled Morozov here, 2nd round submission. Graph for Kelleher looks okay. He is outscoring his opponents while trending up, and his opponents are trending down. So that is just what you want to see. Projections much higher, as you would imagine, for Umar Nurmagomedov. And the graph, while only being one fight, is better for Nurmagomedov. We'll have to see how he does against Kelleher, see if this evens out or if it just increases and inflates. And then the career finishing percentages and the UFC percentages on the right. Over 50% in all the categories I look for, so it looks like this one could finish inside the distance, in my opinion. Next fight of the night, Maria Agapova going against Marina Moroz. Sorry, I can't read simple English here. This one feels like some sort of grudge match. I guess these two really do not like each other. Women's flyweight fight, 8,800 for Agapova. What do you get? The highest pace on the entire card, 5.13 points per minute, guys. That's no joke. First on the card, like I said, outscoring her opponents by almost 2 full points per minute. The 2nd highest differential on the card as well. Scoring 103.64 points averaged over her 2 wins. For a women's fight, fantastic. Even for a man's fight, fantastic. For any fight, fantastic. Triple digits, you want that fighter at least on the board. So you can try to get her in the optimal lineup. Gives up 102.5 points in her 1 loss. So there are tons of points in Maria Agapova fights. That's what you love to see for DraftKings. You are paying a bit up for her. What is that? $164 you're paying up. But she gives you the 5th best value on the card at 9.21 on average. Moroz on the other side, 7,400. Also, Agapova has the highest ass whoop index on the card at 16.12. Should be noted. A 4th highest power index, 1.39, and a perfectly perfect 0 chindex. Moroz on the other side, scoring only 75.5 points per win, and that's over 5 wins. So not a lot of scoring there. But when she loses, over 3 losses, allowing 95 points per loss. Looks fantastic if you're on the Agapova side. You want to get close to that or over that 100-point mark. She is getting outpaced, is Moroz. And let's see, she is $860 cheaper than her average salary, but you're not getting a ton of value. The 20th highest value, which is really like the 5th lowest value on the entire card, 6.95. There's some damn good fighters on this card. I don't know that Marina Moroz is one of them when it comes to DraftKings. Agapova, 103 points when she wins by sub on average, and she does have 2 submission wins. Moroz also has at least 1 submission win, 95 points when she finishes by sub in the UFC. Agapova, in one of her 2 wins, she did score over 110. In the other one, she did score over 90. Moroz, the opposite. Let's see. Only one fight out of 5 she put up over 100 points. Only 2 wins out of 5 she put up over 90. Let's see. Agapova averaging. I mean, look at this. The #1 highest pace on the entire card when it comes to striking points per minute at 3.32. Absolutely killing it. Almost 1 point in knockdowns per minute. That's the second highest on the card. She has the 10th highest takedown and the 10th highest control time points on the card. I mean, she's scoring from everywhere, Maria Agapova. Moroz on the other side, 1.87. I mean, getting outpaced as far as striking points, knockdown points, takedown points, and control time points. So pretty much the exact opposite of Maria here. Not what you want to see when you're going up against this woman in Agapova. I mean, goodness, how could you be on the Moroz side in this fight? This might not be close at all. Agapova 0% takedown defense. I'd have to dive deeper in the numbers to check that out. But Moroz lands about a half a takedown per 15 minutes. So she's not out here throwing a ton. And she only has 18% accuracy. Yeah, Agapova lands 7.13 significant strikes per minute. That is the highest on the card at a 55% accuracy. What's Marina's defense? 53rd. So I don't know, what's that, 8th lowest on the card? Not great. Not great. Oh, Agapova also controls over 50% of the grappling time. This is her problem. Strength of schedule, not fantastic. Moroz dominating in that category for sure. Agapova, like we said, one of the highest ASWAP index on the card with wins over Mazo and Cyphers. Lost to Shayna Dobson. I don't know how that happened. Is that real? I guess so. Lost to Shayna Dobson as a -1500 favorite? What? I mean, if I had more time, I'd check that. I'm sure it's right, but I mean, how could you not want to check that after hearing a sentence like that? Agapova outscoring her opponents almost by 2 whole entire points. 2 whole entire points. That's right. I said it. She is trending up. And then Moroz getting outscored by her opponents, but she is trending up while her opponents are pretty much flatline there, but steady outscoring her. Here are my projections, much higher for Maria, as you could probably have guessed. And she also has a much better graph especially as far as the finishing perspective. This right side of the graph, you want this side especially pushed out as far as possible. And here are the aggregate professional and UFC career finishing percentages. So pretty high in their career as far as finish wins, but not quite so much in the UFC. We will keep it moving. Next fight, Nicky Gums, Negumereanu. I'm just going to call him Nicky Gums. Going against Kennedy Nzechukwu. That's what we're going to say. So Nicky Gums against Kennedy. This one's going to be light heavyweight fight. 7,800 for Nicky Gums. He has one of the lowest pace, in fact, the lowest ranked pace on the entire card. 1.88 points per minute. Gets outpointed by over 2 points a minute in 3 UFC fights, and he's 2-1. My goodness, you are getting a deal on him a little bit, paying under his average salary by about what is that, $533. In his 2 UFC wins, he averages only 86 points, not very good, and he did give up 106 when he lost. Kennedy Nzechukwu on the other side, just barely above Nicky Gums in pace at just over 2 points per minute. Gets outscored rather by 1.5 points per minute. Not a good look. And you're paying over his average salary of $8,000. You're paying $8,400 for Kennedy. Only scores 73.5 points in a win. And that's over 3 wins, you guys. In 2 fights, he gives up 87, almost 88 points a fight. I do not like this fight at all for DraftKings. Honestly, I'm thinking I'm fading the shit out of this one here. 84 and 78. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be fading that. These guys just don't score until one of them, was it Kennedy that put Olberg down? I guess I could look. Yeah, Kennedy put Olberg down after getting his ass beat for 2.5 rounds. He just found Olberg's chin and just put him down. He's since then beat Danilo Marquez and lost to Da Un Jung. I mean, 4 out of 5 of his UFC fights have ended inside the distance. And Nikki Gums is coming out of a first-round knockout of Ike Villanueva, so I don't know. This one probably screams inside the distance, but I'm thinking it probably goes to... God, does it go to decision? I don't know. I'm going to fade this one probably. I know it's only Monday, so I have a few days to think about it. But as of now, I'm thinking of fade just because of their average points per win. It's just not high enough. And they're way better scoring fighters on this card that I could be putting salary on. I mean, Nicky Gums, look at his strength of schedule. It's probably the worst on the card. He doesn't even have a 50% opponent win percentage in his last 5. 46.74. His strength of schedule is 53.6. Strength of victory is 42.5. Strength of defeat is trash. Meanwhile, Kennedy Nzechukwu has over 75s everywhere and over 80 in strength of defeat. Probably one of the best strength of schedules on the entire card. I'm going to be rolling with Kennedy probably here. I hope Computer Monk is thinking the same. Because we need to increase our win percentage. We're just over 60% Computer Monk for the year, which I think is pretty good, honestly. But I would like it to be higher. Closer to, over 65 would be nice. Couple of graphs. Nicky Gums getting outscored by more than twice as much over his past, 3 fights, trending up while his opponents also trend up. Kennedy Nzechukwu also getting outscored by almost double, while his opponents trend up and he trends down. So not a good look there. Some very low projections, as I was talking about, from these guys. And this graph is all over the place. Nzechukwu actually has a very good graph, but Nicky Gums just outscoring in his wins. And getting that finish over Ike Villanueva really increased his bonus points per win as well. I mean, these guys are getting finished in their losses in their career and in UFC, but getting a lot of finished wins as well. So I'm sure this one's going to finish inside the distance, according to Computer Monk. I just don't know. I mean, they just don't score well when they win. They just don't. Marina Rodriguez going up against Yan Xiaonan. This fight at strawweight. Rodriguez, $9,300 this week. You're paying way up for her. Over $1,000, $1,050 you're paying up for her. She has the 19th highest pace on the card, so not a good pace. 2.54, and she's getting outscored in her career. When she wins, only 87.6 points, and when she loses, I know it's only one loss, but she did give up 101.22 points in that loss. Like I said, she's getting outpaced. Not even a great value, under 8 there when she over on average, I should say, over all UFC fights since DraftKings has been around. Yan on the other side, $6,900, I believe the third lowest, salary on the entire card. 3.17 points per minute. That is a pretty good pace, 11th highest. And she has a positive differential of raw DraftKings points per minute at 0.26. Average value over 8, and you are getting, I mean, the biggest deal on the card, probably $1,650 cheaper than her average salary is Xiaonan. Only 80 points when she wins, and in her one loss, again, giving up 137.5 points. So both of these ladies, when they've been had losses in the UFC, they've given up triple-digit points. Obviously, many more for Yan than Marina, but still over triple digits. Marina only scoring over 90 in 1 of her 5 UFC wins. That's it. Very low score. Yan only scoring over 90 twice. Only over 100, over 110 once. So she had one very good fight, and that is about it. The rest have been pretty low. I mean, very low output from Yan. In fact, she's getting outworked on the ground. But striking, she has the second best striking points per minute at 2.73. Not something to be overlooked, but as of yet, no power behind those strikes. And Marina, 10th highest striking points per minute at 2.15, shutting her opponents down. No knockdown points against. She is susceptible to takedowns and being controlled. So we'll see if Yan is able to do anything with that. But I mean, Marina has looked fantastic. I mean, over her whole career, really. She's 15-1 with 2 draws. But I mean, Yan is 13-2. So anything could happen. Both of these women are very skilled. This is, I believe, number 3 versus number 4. I probably haven't updated my UFC rankings, in a couple of weeks, so that could be a little bit off. Bonus points per win and per loss pretty low. Actually, when Xiaonan loses in her one loss, she did get finished in the second round, so that number is 70. Xiaonan giving up a lot of grappling points in her losses, but Rodriguez is not the grappling type. She is a striker. You know, over her career, the stats tend to tell me that, is what I should say. But both these women sub 70 as far as takedown defense. Strength of schedule is Marina Rodriguez, and it is not close, up by 7-8 points in some of these categories. But the last 5 fights, as far as that goes, the differentials are fantastic for Xiaonan. No takedowns really happening. Control time is against her, but a huge significant strikes landed per minute differential of 2.32, and she's outworking her opponents by 0.5 point per minute, whereas Rodriguez is getting outscored by 0.8 points per minute. Rodriguez on a 3-fight win streak over Ribas, Watterson, and Dern, with a loss to Esparza on her last 5, and then Xiaonan with also a loss to Esparza in her last 5. But before that, Gedalia, Kovalevich, Hill, and Kondo were all beaten by Xiaonan. Rodriguez getting outpointed, like I said, but she is trending up while her opponents trend down, and it is the opposite for Xiaonan. She is outworking her opponents while her opponents trend up and she trends down. Here are my projections. And then another interesting graph, not too many finish wins for these fighters, so missing a big piece of the graph here. Like I said, more of decision fighters. Even the DraftKings points per win, sorry, I had a brain fart there. The highest number is for Rodriguez at 87.6, so, and Jan is even, you know, further behind than that. Finishes in wins in the UFC, less than 10%, only 42% in their career. And losses is 50%. So way higher in losses, but only 2 losses on their records in the UFC. Next fight, Jalen Turner, lightweight fight going against Jamie Mullarkey. This one, let's see, 8,200 for Jalen Turner, Mullarkey 8,000. What do we get for 8,000 out of Mullarkey? We'll start on the right side this time just to switch it up a little bit. 2 out of 2 fights since January 1st, 2021. He has made the optimal lineup. Mullarkey, he has the 3rd highest power index on the entire card, and a perfect chindex of 0. You love to see it. He is outpacing his opponents by almost a point per minute, 0.89 differential. He is, let's see, only $250 more than his average, which is actually the lowest average salary on the card. Is that right? I have to look into that. But he has the 3rd highest value of 10.49. Let me see these numbers here. I just have a feeling that something ain't right. Must be in wins. Let's see here. 118 points Jamie Mullarkey scores per win, and Jalen Turner scores pretty much the exact same. 3rd and 4th highest numbers on the entire card. Mullarkey giving up only 75 in a loss, and that's over 2 losses. In Jalen Turner's 2 losses, he's averaging 101 points given up. Not great. So a lower average value for Jalen Turner, but still fantastic in wins. And he's actually pretty much the same as his average salary here at $81.60. So you're actually paying up $40 for him. So not a problem. Just 2 great ceilings as well. Both guys 127 points. Big time floor difference. Mullarkey has the highest projected floor on the card, while Jalen Turner very low at 12.4. So definitely something to consider if you're playing cash and you're thinking about rostering these guys. Jamie Mullarkey does look a bit better there. Jalen Turner in his 4 UFC wins, he's hit over 100 in all of them. 3 out of 4 have been over 110. With Mullarkey, both of his wins have gone over 100, and 1 has gone over 110. How are they scoring? Mullarkey many more points when it comes to grappling. Not only that over his opponents, but over what Jalen Turner is used to scoring. He gets taken down, I guess if that's a thing. He gets outscored via takedown points over 2-1, but he is out-controlling his opponents on average. Lots of power. The 0.73 is the 4th highest knockdown points per minute rate on the card, but Jamie Mullarkey right behind him in 5th, 0.52. The big difference is Jalen Turner's striking, the 3rd highest striking points per minute rate on the entire card, 2.45, almost an entire striking point per minute over his opponents. That is a fantastic number. Meanwhile, Jamie Mullarkey's out here getting pieced up, negative 0.6 differential on the striking points there. So not a good look at all. Let's see. When Jalen Turner wins, on average, his bonus points are 86.25, and that's over 4 fights, you guys. Incredible number here. He's out here getting finishes, or he's getting finished in his 2 losses, 60 on average. Jamie Mullarkey, even higher bonus points on average, over 2 fights than Jalen Turner, 92.5, and both of his losses have gone to decision. This one is going to be a close one, guys. I mean, Jalen Turner has almost 80% takedown defense. That is a fantastic number, but he's allowing almost 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Jamie Mullarkey's landing 3.5, so he is attempting those takedowns. Both guys controlling well over 60% of their grappling time. Jamie Mullarkey's over 70. Here's the big thing. Look at the strength of schedule over their last 5. Mullarkey's is trash in 50 in 2 categories, 65 strength of victory, and 79, which is good, strength of defeat. Meanwhile, Turner is in 75 in every single category, except the strength of schedule, where he is at 72. So a much more respectable strength of schedule than the trash Jamie Mullarkey brought to this fight. Turner has a huge ass whooping index in his last 5, 19.46. Huge power index and a perfect chindex. Mullarkey, a huge ass whoop index as well. Huge power index, even higher than Turner's, and another perfect chindex. I mean, Mullarkey knocked out Devontae Smith in his last fight, knocked out Kamal Worthy in less than a minute, also lost to Faris Ziam and Brad Riddell. Jalen Turner, I mean, subbed Earl Smedich, subbed Brock Weaver, knocked out Koulibaly, lost to Frevola by decision, and knocked out Callan Potter. Excuse me. So all of his 4 wins in his last 5 finishing by knockout. Jalen Turner outscoring his opponent, trending down, while his opponents also trend down though. And then Mullarkey outscoring his opponents and trending up, while his opponents trend up, but just barely. These graphs are very similar. Both guys are heavy finishers. Both of them score very well in their wins. Mullarkey with a bit better of an average value, and that is mostly because of those bonus points per win. I mean, look at this. Percent of finishes in wins over their career, 96. So what is that? 1 fight? Yeah, 1 out of 25 wins, they did not finish. 1 of their wins has gone to decision, and it was not in the UFC. Meanwhile, over half of their losses, so what's that, 5 out of 9 losses in their careers have ended inside the distance. So, yeah, I think this one's probably going to finish a bit early. Main card time, Sergey Spivak going against Greg Hardy on the main card, heavyweight fight. $8,700 for Spivak, who has made the optimal lineup once since the beginning of last year. Let's see, he has the 5th highest pace on the card at 3.67 points per minute. 1.14 differential, 4th highest differential on the card. Fantastic. You are paying up for Sergey Spivak, $657 to be exact, but he does give you the 6th best DraftKings points per win number at 107.25, and that is over 4 fights, so a decent sample size there. Over his 3 wins, he's given up 108 points on average. So again, a ton of points flying around Sergey Spivak fights. 4th highest ceiling, the absolute lowest floor on the card. So he is a bang or bust fighter according to the stats. Let's check out Greg Hardy. 4-4 in the UFC, $7,500. He is $1,000 less than his average salary. So if you're on the Greg Hardy side, now's the time. Only scoring 2.3 points per minute, very low, but only allowing 1.69 points per minute. That is the best pace against, or anti-pace, I don't know what to call that, defensive pace, there we go, on the entire card. Scoring 98 points in his wins, however, and that is over 4 wins. Only gives up 88 in his losses, which is pretty low, especially for a heavyweight. Average value is absolute garbage. Let's see here. When Sergey wins by KO, TKO, 131 points. When he wins by sub, 120. When he wins by decision, 75. And when he wins by split, 101. He's only given up a ton of points when he's lost by KO. I believe one of those was Aspinall. Yeah, and the other one, Tybura, but that was a decision. Let's see here. Greg Hardy in decision wins only 55.79 points. So unless he gets an early knockout, Greg Hardy is not scoring well. See Priscilla Cachoeira from last week. I know she made the optimal, but that's because all of the high-priced guys all were the only ones that, you know, had a decent score. I just don't see Greg Hardy making the optimal unless he gets a first-round knockout over Spivak. And that's all he's hunting for, because he does not score well anywhere else, just striking points, and even there he's under 2 per minute, whereas Spivak is over 2 per minute, has almost 1 per minute when it comes to takedowns, and 0.61 per minute when it comes to control time. These are top 5 numbers as far as grappling. But Greg Hardy, on the other hand, not giving up a ton of grappling points. 2nd and 4th best numbers on the card there. So it could be an interesting fight. We'll see if Spivak can get Hardy down. That is going to be the test here, I think. Spivak, when he loses, gives up a ton of bonus points. Greg Hardy, obviously, like we said, when he wins, a ton of bonus points because he needs those finishes. Striking defense, not good for either guy. Takedown defense, much better for Hardy, 80%. But Spivak controlling more of the grappling time than Hardy does when it comes to control time. Spivak, better strength of schedule. It is pretty close though, but yeah, based on the strength of victory, you have to give it to Spivak here. And then outscoring, or the differentials are much better for Spivak, much more positive when it comes to takedowns, striking, and control time. And as far as pace, over a half a point per minute. I mean, losing to Tom Aspinall is nothing to be ashamed of. He's going to be, he probably is one of the best heavyweights around right now. I can't wait to see him on the London card. Let's see. Spivak, way above his opponents when it comes to scoring. He is trending down while his opponents trend up, though, but they're not even close to him yet. And Greg Hardy outscoring his opponents, but his opponents are trending up. Tai Tuivasa absolutely demolished him in the last fight, so that's why his graph looks the way it does. Projections here. Then the DraftKings visual statistical recap. I mean, pretty good graphs. Spivak has the better scoring graph, but Greg Hardy has the better, finish win scoring graph, I guess is the way to say it. But that's the only way he scores his points. Like I said, he needs that early finish win. Otherwise, his pace is just average, less than average. And here are the aggregate professional and UFC career finishing percentages. Pretty high, over 50% in all the categories that I look for. So I'm sure Computer Monk picks this to finish inside the distance. Next fight, we've got Kevin Holland going against Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Sorry, I had to get my water on there. Welterweight fight. Kevin Holland, $9,100. So you were paying almost $700 more than his average salary. And what do you get? I mean, the pace is top 10. I guess that's a good thing, 3.19 per minute. But he's getting outworked in his career so far. Has a negative differential. Does score over 100, almost 102 points per win. Gives up 106 when he loses. Those are very consistent numbers. He's got 8 wins. So he's got triple-digit average. 4 losses, also 105 average over those 4. So there's a ton of points in Kevin Holland fight. Excuse me. He is the 10th fight of the night. That is the best salary voodoo fight out of all of them. If you pay attention to salary voodoo like I do, the inventor of salary voodoo. 66.67% of the time, the winner of the 10th fight makes the optimal lineup. Weight class doesn't do well, but this salary also wins at 76, almost 77% of the time. Alex Oliveira, 7,100, has a decent pace, 3.14, so just behind Kevin Holland. And he is outscoring his opponents as well. Sorry, I got a notification I wasn't ready for. Outscoring his opponents, 0.67 differential when it comes to raw DraftKings points, and you are paying $1,200, almost $1,300 less than Cowboy's average salary at 7,100. You get a decent DraftKings points per win rate at 92.24, but it's not that triple digits that we're looking for. He also only gives up 88.10 points when he loses. That is the 6th best defensive number on the card, so that might even out a bit with Kevin Holland, but even still, the average there is, 96, something like that. Let's see. Kevin Holland scoring very well when he finishes. The highest number per sub win on the card at 123 points. 86 in a decision is pretty good as well, and 78 in a split is very good. Oliveira scoring less in every single category. Let's see. Holland only scoring over 100 in 3 of 8 wins. Actually, in 3 of 8, he has scored over 110. In 5 of 8, he scored over 90. So 3 of those 8 fights not scoring very well. Oliveira, 45% of his 11 wins, he has scored over 100. Only 18% of those 11 wins, he's put up over 110. Kevin Holland, most of his points coming from striking, but lately he has been able to find some takedown and control time points as well, but he is very susceptible to getting scored on that way, giving up over 1 takedown point per minute and well over half a control time point per minute. While he is obviously outstriking his opponents, he definitely has some work to do on the defensive side when it comes to grappling. Meanwhile, Cowboy Oliveira is a grappling machine, scoring 0.76 takedown points per minute and 0.61 control time points per minute, basically the same amount that Kevin Holland allows. Meanwhile, he's still outstriking his opponents and has proven to have more power than his opponents as well. So could be an interesting matchup for Holland. If he can't, we'll have to see if Oliveira can get his ground game going. If he can't, then who knows what could happen. Oliveira fights are always very exciting, and no one's ever accused Kevin Holland of being boring. So this one could be an interesting fight. Kevin Holland giving up a ton of bonus points per loss or per win, or scoring a ton per win, not giving up very many. Meanwhile, Cowboy pretty much gives up and scores 55, 56, no matter what happens in his fights. Let's see here. Strength of schedule is all Alex Oliveira, and it's not too close. Kevin Holland definitely needs some work there. Just the guy he's fought. He's fought Charlie Ontiveros in his last 5. So the guy's record is terrible. Kevin Holland trending way down while his opponents trend up and outscore him currently. So he's definitely got some work to do there. Oliveira outscoring his opponents, trending up, I think, just barely, while his opponents trend up at a much steeper rate. Oliveira has the better projections in this fight, according to Computer Monk. That is not very surprising. Kevin Holland not doing much in his past 3 fights when it comes to scoring. In fact, let's go back up. 112 when he beat Ontiveros, but only 97 in the Jacare win, which was pretty good. 35 in a loss to Vettori, 47. So he is scoring well in his losses. But, what did we say? 100. I guess that's not bad. 101.95. While it is triple digits, it is only good enough for a top 11 on this card. So lots of scoring opportunities on this card. Better than Kevin Holland, in my opinion. Graphs very similar, with Oliveira even getting the grappling points, I should say, not the striking. And then here are the aggregate UFC and professional career finishing percentages. Pretty high in wins and also in losses. So probably stacked up to finish inside the distance, according to Computer Monk. And would anyone really be surprised there? Probably not. Edson Barboza going up against Bryce Mitchell, the undefeated 14-0 Bryce Mitchell featherweight fight. This one for Barboza, actually, we'll start with Bryce Mitchell. $8,300. You are paying up for Bryce Mitchell, who does have 5 UFC fights, and somehow his average salary is only $8,000. You're only paying $8,300 for him this week. Maybe because he doesn't score that well. Only 84.85 points per win, and that is over 8 wins. Top 10 pace on the card, 3.33. Outscoring his opponent by over a point per minute. Excuse me. Second best average value on the entire card at 10.55. That is fantastic. Let's see. Edson Barboza, 7,900. Bryce Mitchell, I should mention, has yet to make the optimal lineup since January 1st of 2021. Barboza has made the optimal in one of his 2 fights. $7,900. You get an even lower point per win than Bryce Mitchell had at 78.73. This is 16 wins, you guys. 16 wins. Average DKP of 78.73. He gives up on average in 10 wins 99.34 points. Edson Barboza just getting outpaced over the his career, I should say. You are getting a deal on him as far as price goes, almost $500 lower than his average salary, 6.66 average value. Stay away. Bryce Mitchell 108.2 when he wins by submission. 83 when he wins by decision. Fantastic. Barboza not even averaging 100 points when he wins by finish. No sub wins. Is that true? I guess so. In the UFC, only 1 sub win in his entire career. 58 when he wins by decision. Not fantastic. Guys, only 4 of 16 wins Barboza has put up over 100 points. I think that's only 1 of 16 he's put up 110. Not even half of his 16 wins he's scored 90. That is just, he's just not a great scorer. And he gives up over 100 in 5 of 10 UFC losses. Bryce Mitchell, on the other hand, 2 of 5 he scored over 100 and over 100. 1 of 5 over 110. So neither guy really scoring many points at all. Might think twice before rostering either one of these, actually. Just based on what I'm seeing statistically. Bryce Mitchell with a fantastic ground game. 2 points between takedowns and control time. 2 points a minute. If you tack on reversals there, it's 2.08. These are top 5, numbers. The control time, best on the entire card. No knockdowns. I mean, striking points are very low, but look what he's allowing. Only 0.81. That is the best defensive striking pace on the entire card. I mean, he is allowing takedown points and control time points, but, I mean, he's doubling up what people are putting on him. Barboza, on the other side, is giving up takedown and control time points more than he's scoring. And he's getting outstruck. His power, this is a career number, so I don't know. We'd have to look recently, but his power still might be there, but that is literally carrying him through his points per minute. Bryce Mitchell, no losses, averaging only 42 bonus points when he wins. Tons of grappling points. And in fact, when Barboza loses, he averages 20.5 grappling points given up per loss. 54 bonus points given up as well. Very evenly matched. Barboza, 78% takedown defense, so that is definitely something to look for. Bryce Mitchell controlling 68% of all grappling time. Also, Barboza wins the strength of schedule by several points, 5 or 6 points each category, but Bryce Mitchell is undefeated, so he has that going for him. The power index for Barboza, fantastic. Chindex, getting suspect at this point, 0.7. That is pretty high number. Definitely do not want that to be that high. Barboza 2 and 3 in his last 5 with losses to Chikadze, Dan Ige, and Paul Felder. Wins over Burgos and Amir Khani. That Burgos one, whoo, how could we forget? Bryce Mitchell with wins over Feely, Charles Rosa, Matt Sales, Bobby Moffitt, and Tyler Diamond to start off his UFC career. Barboza getting outscored, but trending up, while actually he is trending down while his opponents trend up and outscore him. Not a good graph. Bryce Mitchell, the complete opposite, outscoring his opponents, trending way up, while his opponents trend way down, getting outscored by Bryce Mitchell by over a point per minute. Here are my projections. As you would expect, much higher for Mitchell, but not very high. Like I said, I might have to be limiting my exposure to this fight, especially, I mean, look at this graph. DraftKings per win. DraftKings points per win, 84 for Mitchell, 78 for Barboza. Not fantastic. Finish win percent, very low for Mitchell here. Barboza, it's about 50%. And how many in the last 5 is he finished? I guess he is at 50% in his last 5. So he did get that finish over Shane Burgos. Career aggregate, or UFC and career aggregate finish percentages, not very high in the UFC, less than 50%. 60% in losses, less than 50% in wins is what I should have said. Co-main event of the evening, Rafael dos Anjos going against Rafael Fiziev. Lightweight fight. Very excited for this one, you guys. Dos Anjos legend, Fiziev legendary, insane, crazy fighter. I don't mean that he's insane or crazy, although he might be. I don't have any info on that. No stats to back that up. His fighting style is what I was referring to. Dos Anjos, $7,300, coming in more than $1,000 cheaper than his average salary. Only scoring 2.94 points per minute. That is 15th best on the card, so pretty much 13th worst. 14th? 12th worst? I don't remember. 12th worst. Outpacing his opponents, though, by 1/4 of a point per minute. Average value of just under 9 when he wins. Let's see here. 101.81 DraftKings points per win. Usually on any other card, that would be fantastic. On this card, it is only good enough for 12th highest, not even top 10. Opponents scoring 103, almost 104 when they beat Dos Anjos. Not a great defensive number for him there. Top 10 ceiling at 123.46. Very low floor. I don't like any of these numbers for salary voodoo. The lightweight weight class, the winner makes the optimal lineup less than 50%. The winner of the 12th fight, this is a very poor DraftKings fight, number 12, 44.83%. The winner makes the optimal lineup here. The $7,300 salary wins only 26% of the time. And Computer Monk likes Rafael Fiziev to win 56% of the time these two fight. So I'm not on the Dos Anjos side very much here this week at all. 8,900 for Fiziev. That is a bit too much, but I will have him rostered in some of these lineups. 2.85 points per minute, so an even less of a pace than Dos Anjos right behind him. But he does have a higher differential at almost 0.5 point per minute. He is $417. Actually $517 more than his average salary. Fiziev only scoring 57.94 points per win, guys. That is too low, and that's 5 wins. 5 fight sample size, only 70. I know, I want it to be higher too. I really do. He's giving up 90 when he loses in his one loss. That's just not going to be good enough for me. I'm going to have to limit my exposure to Fiziev here. 77.94. That is third worst. Third lowest out of all my ranked fighters. 24 ranked fighters on this card. Third lowest DKP per win. Rough. He's out here scoring less than 70 when he wins by decision. 90 when he wins by knockout. Meanwhile, Dos Anjos, 111 when he wins by KO. 102 when he wins by sub. 94 when he wins by decision. 135 points when he won by split decision. Incredible. I mean, when Dos Anjos loses by decision, he does give up 114 points. That is a crazy high number. Dos Anjos in 52.63% of his 19 wins, he has scored over 100 points, and he's put up over 110 in more than 26% of those wins. So that's pretty darn good. Over 1/4 of his wins. Fiziev has only scored over 91 time. 1 out of 5 times. That's it. Dos Anjos, where is he scoring generally? Not too much in striking. He gets a lot, over a point per minute from takedowns and control time, and even a bit of reversal sprinkled in there. But he's also getting taken down and controlled as much as he's doing. So he barely is hanging on to that striking pace over his opponents. Same with Fiziev, equal pace to his opponents, which is a pretty good pace at 2.23 per minute. But how much do you really want to eat there? Knockdown points, 0.32 per minute to 0. Fantastic. Hardly anything when it comes to takedown and control time, but he is stuffing everything when it comes to grappling. So, I don't know, 37-year-old RDA, can he take down Fiziev here? That is the question. If he can't, this is going to be a rough go, I think, for Dos Anjos, who, I mean, has good defensive pace when it comes to striking, but just not a lot of volume from him. So he's going to have to get some takedowns here. Let's see. And as I say that, Rafael Fiziev, 95.45% takedown defense. The best takedown defense on the entire card. People have landed 0.24 takedowns against per 15 minutes on Fiziev. So not great. Meanwhile, Dos Anjos, only 58% takedown defense. But Fiziev, is not throwing anything as far as takedowns, with any kind of volume. Does land 5.5 significant strikes per minute, third highest rate on the card. What is Dos Anjos eating? 3.22. That is a top 10 number, but still probably more than you would want. Strength of schedule goes to Dos Anjos, and it's not close. I mean, I don't have to read off his strength of schedule. It's just killer after killer after killer for like 45 years. He's fought nothing but killers. Lately, his differentials in his last 5 have tapered off a bit. He is pretty much negative everywhere except for reversals, while Fiziev being just barely positive, but is positive in 4 out of 5 categories. So not negative, I should say. Fiziev with a better ass whoop index and power index, but perfect chin index for both guys. Rafael dos Anjos with a negative ass whoop index in his last 5. You hate to see it. 2 and 3 for him with wins over Kevin Lee and Paul Felder. Losses to Chiesa, Edwards, and Usman. Fiziev with wins over Riddell, Green, Moicano, Diakese, and White. And whooping pretty much everyone's ass except for that Bobby Green fight. But I don't have to tell you what happened in that fight. Rafael dos Anjos outscoring his opponents just barely while he is trending up and his opponents trend down. It's just what you like to see. And after this week, it could change a lot because that Usman fight is going to fall off of his last 5. Rafael dos Anjos outscoring his opponents by half a point per minute, trending ever so slightly down while his opponents trend up. So that Bobby Green fight, he did eat a lot of volume there. Some of the higher projections on the card, especially when it comes to decisions. Here we go. And this is, I should say, a 5-round fight, you guys. It was supposed to be the main event of last week's card, I think. Something like that. I don't remember. But it is a 5-round fight. They are keeping that stipulation. So we do get 5 rounds of projections here. Absolutely fantastic. Dos Anjos has a bit of a better graph, except for when it comes to that win percentage, but a much higher sample size for Dos Anjos, who has, 30 UFC fights compared to 6 for Fiziev. Here are the aggregate professional and UFC career finishing percentages. Pretty low, under 50% in 3 of the 4 categories I look for. So probably going to pick this one to finish, or to go the distance, I should say. Last fight of the night, guys. Main event of the evening. We did it. 5-round fight, welterweight fight. Colby Chaos Covington going against Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. I absolutely love Colby Covington here this week. Just for DraftKings. I don't like him as, his character, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I don't have to say that. But I love him for DraftKings this week. I think he's going to smash. I mean, look at these numbers, guys. 9,400. What do you get for the second highest salary on the entire card? Well, I'll tell you what you get. You're paying up $800 for Colby. Ouch. 12.08 value. Fantastic. Number 1 on the entire card. Averages 121.89 points per win. Guys, he has 11 wins. 121 points. 122 points a win over 11 wins. First on the entire card. 4.52 raw DraftKings points per minute. I can't even speak because these numbers are so crazy. Second highest on the card, only allowing 1.91 per minute for a differential of 2.6 raw DraftKings points per minute. The best on the card, you guys. Ridiculous. Even when he loses, he's giving up 111 points in a loss. That's over 3 losses. So he's getting beat up in those 3 losses. 137.5 points for his ceiling, second highest on the card. 16 for a floor. Not great, but not terrible. 13th fight of the night. The winner makes the optimal lineup. Second best rate out of all fights. 63%. The $9,400 salary wins at a 76% rate. I mean, come on. Masvidal, meanwhile, averaging over 101 points per win. And that is over 12 wins, but that's only good enough for 13th highest this week. I mean, Colby out here smashing that number by more than 20 points. Masvidal outscoring his opponents by 0.24 points a minute, so you do like to see that. And he's also coming in $1,220 under his average salary. Amazing. Only allowing 87 points when he loses, and that is over 8 losses. So does not give up high scores here. But, I mean, even if you balance that out with Colby's 121 points a win, you're still over triple digits for Colby Covington. And this is a 5-round fight. So the longer it goes, the more times Covington's going to be able to take Masvidal down and just rack up those points, guys. These grapplers in main event 5-round fights with big odds, and even without Vegas odds, I like Colby to win this fight based on stats. Those three things, grappler, 5-round main event, and favorite to win, you have to put him in as many lineups as possible. Look at Islam last week. Come on. I'm not saying Colby is Islam, but you know damn well how well Colby scores. Hate aside, this guy is ridiculous. When he finishes fights, 130 when he finishes by KO, 112 when he wins by sub, 120.69 when he wins by decision. Guys, that's ridiculous. 81% of his 11 wins, he scores over 100 points. 81% of 11 wins over 100. 72% over 11 wins over, or 72% of 11 wins over 110 points. That is insane. Masvidal gives up, let's see, over 103 of 8 losses. So it's not zero. Colby outworking his opponents, outpacing them, I should say, per minute when it comes to striking. When it comes to takedown, he's got the best takedowns points per minute at 1.37. Highest rate on the card. Second highest control time points per minute at 0.81, and allows next to nothing. Meanwhile, Masvidal allowing over half a takedown point per minute. Pretty bad. 17th best on the card, and a ton of control time points per minute as well. Not giving up a lot of striking, but he is susceptible to being knocked down. But the one thing Jorge has always had, and I think continues to have, I don't know, they say power is the last to go, is that power. 0.35 knockdown points per minute. Colby has been knocked down a few times. I mean, by Usman, but still. I mean, lots of bonus points going around, 40s and 50s, so not a ton, but pretty consistent. I mean, Computer Monk thinks Colby is the best fighter on the entire card when it comes to DraftKings, and Computer Monk might be right about that. Masvidal 73% takedown defense, so that is what we are going to... I mean, but Covington took down Usman, right? Whether he did or he didn't. I mean, Usman was on the ground for a second. I'm not here to argue whether it was controlled long enough for a takedown. I'm just saying we all saw what happened. Covington could definitely take Masvidal down, I think. He also controls 94% of all grappling time in his fights, while Masvidal less than 50. Masvidal's strength of schedule is amazing. Amazing. Colby's is very good as well, but not as good as Masvidal's. Both guys have lost to Kamaru Usman twice. Both by knockout once, and both by unanimous decision once. Let's see, no other common opponents in the last 5. Both are 3-2. The difference is Jorge rather, coming off of 2 straight losses. Covington. I mean, this graph is fantastic. Way above his opponents, almost or more than doubling up his opponent's score per minute. Trending down, but obviously there's really only one direction you can go when you're that high. Opponents barely trending up, but that's with the Usman as his last fight. Masvidal, just barely above his opponent, it looks like. While he trends way down, his opponent trends up just barely. Again, 5-round fight. Look at these projections for Colby Covington. His pace is so ridiculous. I mean, we're in triple figures in every single category he wins. That is crazy. We'll finish it up with the DraftKings visual recap and aggregate career finish percentages. I mean, great graphs from both guys. Masvidal has his moments. Win percentage in the UFC, bonus points per win, but Colby Covington, DraftKings points per win, 121. How do you not love that? You guys, if you think Colby Covington's gonna win, you have to put him in your lineups. You have to. I don't know how much Masvidal I'm gonna have in 20 max, probably 0, honestly. In GPPs, maybe 5 to 10, not a lot. I'm gonna have a ton of Covington here, a ton. And I hope it goes to decision. I want 5 rounds of takedowns landed on Masvidal. 5 rounds of control time by the never-stopping pace that Colby Covington puts on his opponents. I mean, like I said, I'm not a fan of the guy, but you don't have to be in order for him to make the optimal lineup. So that is where I'm leaning on these. let's go ahead and get into Computer Monk's picks before we go. Here it is. First fight of the night. I'm picking Oleksiejczuk by finish over Jacoby. And we're going Devontae Smith by finish. We're going Tagir Ulanbekov by decision. Umar Nurmagomedov by finish. Maria Agapova by decision. Kennedy Nzechukwu by finish. Xiaonan Yan by decision. Jalen Turner by finish. Sergey Spivak by finish. Alex Cowboy Oliveira by finish. Upset finish over Holland. That is the closest fight on the card according to Computer Monk. Bryce Mitchell by finish. Rafael Fiziev by decision. And Colby Covington by decision. Let's hope so. I need all the points I can get this week. Guys, we did it. We absolutely did it. All 13 fights banged out. You are now ready with all the stat information you can handle for your DraftKings lineups. Be sure to do your tape. Pair this with that tape. Guys, you're going to be stacking money ridiculously high this week. I mean, how could you not? It's a UFC pay-per-view, so there are some big money contests going out there. Get your lineups in early. I'm sure we might lose a couple fights. I'm just saying that to unjinx, or as a reverse jinx rather. So hopefully we'll lose a couple. But yeah, start to get your lineups in now. Guys, thank you so much. Again, please like and subscribe to this video. It really helps a ton. I want to say thanks again for sticking around for the whole thing. Once again, real quick, check out teamriserfall.com, $10 off with code MONK. The MMA engine is coming soon. I know I mentioned it at the beginning, but it's so important to me that I'm mentioning it again at the end here. Be sure to check out the Wednesday DraftKings show on Pub Sports Radio, where it is I, Uncle Weezy, Brady, DFS Numbers, and Luke from SWR Betting are breaking down, we're giving out our favorite plays, value plays, core plays, favorite fades, favorite dart throws, and even a lineup or two on that show. So be sure to check that out. 6 p.m. Central Time on Wednesdays. Me and Lou Bet you also have Monk and Lou's happy hour on Friday at 5 o'clock Central. Be sure to check that out. Lou covers all of the lines that you need to make some money at UFC 272. I think you hit another huge plus, like I think he hit McKinney sub plus 900 this week, coming off the plus 3,500 before that. And I will be giving you some more DraftKings advice the night before the card, so check that out. And that is about it, guys. I got some new equipment, so hopefully I'll be putting out some new shows as well, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you again for joining me. I really hope you have a good time watching UFC 272. I know I will. Get your fight tape in and let's make some money this week, guys. And as always, I want all of you to enjoy the fights. So enjoy. We'll see you next time.